Sportsbooks set home run props based on what the public knows. Batting averages, recent hot streaks, and probably most importantly, name recognition. And that's it. That's really what's going to move this number every single time. So when you are actually trying to find an edge, it's in what the public doesn't always check. And these things include, but are not limited to, pitcher-specific stats, bullpen depth, and even stadium conditions. And the reason that most bettors don't actually check these things isn't because of laziness, it's because they don't know where to find them all in one place. So thankfully in this video, I'm going to show you exactly where you can find everything that I just mentioned all in one place here on Outlier. And I'll show you exactly where I go and what I look at before I ever place a home run bet. We'll be breaking down individual games, looking at the matchup tab, how to compare different pitchers, how to read batter splits versus right-handed pitchers or left-handed pitchers for whatever pitcher they're facing that day, and how the weather can actually impact these plays as well. But that's not it, because I'm going to then show you how to actually break down each individual player prop. So that way by the end of this, you know exactly how to have a repeatable process that you can use every single day and start making steps in the right direction towards being a profitable sports bettor. Therefore, let's go ahead and get into it. Now, once you get here on Outlier, where I recommend going for these home run props is actually to the individual games tab, because if you actually go over to the props market, then you have to individually search players, which that's fine. If you wanted to individually search players, then what I recommend is just going to propositions and then typing in home runs. And then from here, you can look at players like Yordan Alvarez, right? So this is a player that we could absolutely look at and then start breaking it down. But if you are not sure where exactly to start, I always recommend going to this games tab and start breaking down these games individually. So for instance, let's just take a look at this Atlanta Braves and Boston Red Sox game. Once we click into this, you're going to have all of the different kind of markets that you can get into, such as money line, run line, and then the total over under, nerfies, jerfies, whatever you wanted to do. But again, for this video, what we are looking at is actually the home run market. And the very first thing that I actually look at is the weather and ballpark factor. So you can see here that the weather for this game, the wind is actually blowing back at 9 miles an hour. That's a pretty decent gust pretty much the entire game. We also see precipitation has a 35% chance to rain in this game, obviously making it quite more difficult for home run balls to leave the yard. Now, the weather isn't the only alarming thing for me in this play when I'm looking at home runs. You can actually see here that the ballpark factor ranks 23rd, making it a very pitcher-friendly ballpark with a ballpark factor of 96. Now, what exactly does that mean? Well, you can actually click here to see more and how this stadium actually ranks in comparison to all of the MLB stadiums, and you can see here it ranks near the bottom. Now, this score is blue, and if you look up here at this legend, orange means that it's higher scores favor batters, lower scores favor pitchers, which is that blue, meaning again, hitters aren't really having a ton of success in this ballpark. Now, this is for all batters, but if you wanted to look at side specific, such as left-handed batters, the Fenway Park is actually a little bit more friendly to left-handed batters, and then right-handed batters, again, pretty much near the bottom. So now, knowing all of that, with the weather that's going on in this game, as well as this not necessarily being the friendliest of ballpark to hitters, I'll probably stay away from this game. So let's go ahead and back out and we'll take a look at another game and seeing if we can get some good movement on that. So we'll actually take a look at the Chicago Cubs and Pittsburgh Pirates. So we do have a star in Paul Skeens pitching on the mound in this game, but again, we will just take a look at the weather first before we do anything. So now you can see here, wind blowing out at actually 14 miles an hour, blowing out to right field, giving left-handed batters actually a huge advantage in this matchup. And again, it's not only the wind of this matchup, you can see that the precipitation, there's no % chance of rain, and then even humidity, cloud cover, dew point, all of that actually goes into what this ball can actually do. So if you click this information button, you'll have all of this there, such as the stadium dimensions, what the wind can do and the impact that it can have, as well as the cloud cover. So again, you can see here cloud cover is 3%. Well, thicker air can reduce flight distance. Well, cloud cover is only 3%, so it's actually pretty thin air in this game. And then humidity as well. Dry air helps the ball travel further, but again, humidity is only 45%, so pretty low on that end as well. So you can really do a much deeper dive into what each of these and really what they can do to impact that. But if we go back here, you can also see that this ballpark factor for the 2026 season actually ranks 7th with a ballpark factor of 104. And again, that's that orange number that we want to see, meaning it's very hitter-friendly ballpark. And if we click into see more, you can see for all batters, it's a top 7 ballpark, but specifically, I really like versus left-handed batters because again, that wind is blowing out to right field, and you can see it has a slight uptick ranking now 6th in all of the MLB. So now all of this is a really good starting point for me, and now I can go ahead and start looking at the individual players that I want to start looking at in this game, right? So now once I go here, what I always recommend first is looking at the specific matchup versus that pitcher. So what you have is the entire season, then versus the starting pitcher, who is Paul Skeens, who is a right-handed pitcher. So it breaks it down versus that right-handed pitcher. But what I recommend is looking at the specific matchup versus this pitcher, because it's likely where most of their at-bats are going to come from. And really, all of these pretty much matter at bats, right? You want to see a high number of at bats, as well as a high average, high home runs, and even a high OPS, which is on base plus slugging percentage. So really, none of these are necessarily standing out to me. So what I'll actually do is I'll toggle over to the Pittsburgh Pirates and do the same thing. Look at the opposing pitcher. And this one actually right here is probably the one that I really, really like. And that's Brian Reynolds to actually go for a home run. Has 19 attempts, batting .421 versus Colin Ray, has 2 home runs and an on-base plus slugging of 1.292. These are absolutely incredible numbers, and all you have to do is hover over his name, and this will bring the individual prop market for this player up. But again, it goes ahead and defaults to the hits, runs, RBIs, but what I care about is actually the home runs. And now if you look at the 2026 season, he's only had 4 home runs in this year. But again, we can scroll down. All of this is going to be given to us, and this is exactly what we want. Again, 20 attempts, .421 average, 2 home runs, 4 extra base hits. So again, he's had Colin Ray's number from pretty much the jump. Now, if you look at his splits, he is a switch hitter. And again, that works perfect for us, right? Right-handed pitching, meaning that he is going to be batting on the left side with that wind blowing out to the right field. So again, perfectly, everything is really much lining up for this Brian Reynolds play. But let's go ahead and continue down our research here. You can see again, hard hit percentage and fly ball percentage are 2 really good factors to look at. Hard hit percentage takes a small tick down from his 2026 average versus right-handed pitching, but still hitting it a 33.7% of the time hard hit percentage. And then fly ball percentage, which obviously we want to factor in, because obviously fly ball equals a home run. So 29% of the time he's hitting a fly ball, which is obviously very, very good. Now, when we look at this pitcher, you can see hard hit percentage versus left-handed batters. Hard hit percentage actually goes up, fly ball percentage goes down a little bit. Weighted on base average also goes up, which is a really good sign for us as well. So again, I'm really liking what I'm seeing by looking at all of this different information that they already give us, but now we can look at the pitching arsenal and really what he leans on to start this 2026 year. You can see here, he's predominantly a fastball slider splitter, with these being 20%, 20%, and 40%. So majority of the time, this is going to be what he's going to see throughout most of his at-bats. And as we see here, if we just look at those 3 pitchers, versus a fastball, he has a .416 weighted on base average. Slider, that's the pitch that he struggles with the most this year. And then a splitter, obviously .800, that's incredible. So really, as long as he's not at least fighting off some of those sliders, we should be okay for most of these at bats in this matchup. But what's really cool is now that we know that he struggles versus sliders, we can actually see where Colin Ray versus left-handed batters and sliders, where does he like to live? Well, obviously you can see here, 25 pitches have actually gone low and inside versus them, which is again exactly where he's kind of struggling, having 0-9, and this is where he's throwing the ball 25 times. So for me, that is a little bit alarming, but not enough to necessarily throw me off of this bet at all. Now, another important thing that I do want to mention here is actually the bullpen stats. So if you go over here, you can actually look at the Chicago Cubs, who is the opposing team, and look at exactly how they are using their rotation, their bullpen rotation for this. So you can look at the pitch count over the last 3, pitch count over the last 5, how many days of rest, and then the ERA. Now the ERA, ideally you want to look for something above 3. So a lot of the times they have a really good ERA. So especially this Cubs team has a really good ERA, unless Meton comes in. He's the one that's obviously struggling the most. Everybody else is sitting around that 3 mark, which again is a really good ERA. But again, really what we can pull from this is looking at what the opposing pitcher has had in their pitch count over the last couple of games. He's had 83 pitches in his last 3 games, so we're probably not going to see him throw at least an inning or anything. We're likely going to be dealing with a lot of these other people in this rotation. Now, the last thing that I'm always still going to mention for any pick that you ever make is to line shop the best odds that you can get, and you can actually do that at here, if you just scroll up, hit this drop down arrow, this is going to go ahead and filter it out by your best odds. So if you can bet it at Bet Rivers, that's where you're going to get the best bang for your buck at plus 750 for Brian Reynolds to hit a home run. And then if you can't bet on that, Profit X, which is an exchange book and I think legal in all 50 states, is at plus 740, or even FanDuel at plus 730, which is exceptional odds considering, again, the weather, the previous history versus this pitcher. All of those things look really, really good for us. So again, that is my simple process for trying to find the best home run props every single day. Again, I highly recommend going to the games tab and filtering out the games that have bad weather as opposed to good weather and starting your research there rather than wasting your time and saying, dang, the weather isn't necessarily good in this game. And that step alone is going to set you one step closer to, again, being a profitable sports bettor. Now, if you have any other tips that you want to help out the Outlier community with, drop those down in the comments below, because again, we all have the same goal in mind. That's to beat these sports books. But anyways, best of luck betting in this 2026 MLB season, and I will see y'all in the next one. Take care.